They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread, but sex they care way too much, but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got three big old dicks that you can suck.
The hubris of putting big ol' in there when I
I know.
wrote that. I don't know who I thought I was. I was really feeling myself at that point in time. It was very early in the hitting process. And, if I wrote it today, I don't know that I'd add big old to the dick, but big old dicks does just flow, better. Lyrically, it hits,
Fits the meter. And I think obviously it was more metaphorical.
Yes,
obviously. Boy, you talk about,
but I don't know that I'd claim to have even a metaphorical big old dick now is what I'm saying.
I understand, but at that time, I mean,
Yeah.
to give people a little idea of how the sausage made, and this is embarrassing, but I don't mind. You talk about 2-3 people counting Drew, but especially us, because Drew would go to bed before we would, and we would stay up all night having our hit summits. And boy, you talk about 2 people who just really thought highly of themselves for several years and didn't mind who fucking knew it. And we was wrong.
Boy. Yeah. I literally referred to myself as the voice of a generation at that time. That's what I said.
You are a voice of a generation.
Yeah. But who isn't? I want to, people didn't see this, but I just want to ask, you texted me a picture right before we started of me and Charlie Kirk. Like, can you elaborate on that?
Well, here it is right here for people to see.
Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. Like, it's really hard for me. So I make the thumbnails for our shows, right?
Okay.
And it's really hard to get a good thumbnail of you because you have resting fuck this shit face. And so I was like, what if I just find one, like if I ever get one really good thumbnail of Trae, what if I just keep using that one, but I go Photoshop different clothes on him and then just put that in the thing? So, because you don't people don't, if you're scrolling and you see the same thing, you're like, oh, this must be the same video. And so I cut out this little suit and I put you in it. And I was like, oh, he looks like a right-wing pundit. So I just did that and sent it to you to hit.
Okay. All right. I
didn't put it on the internet or nothing.
Yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know if someone had sent it to you. And I was like, because obviously I'd never been on Charlie Kirk's show, but I did a panel with him once with a year we were at Politicon. Right. And I was like, did I record something with Charlie? I thought you had unearthed something from all the way back then, but that's how good it was, Joe. It's how good of a job you did. I thought you had a plan for my stupid face. I thought that you just got to remind people of stuff.
Oh yeah,
you wanted us to start doing the thing every right. Okay.
All right, so there you go.
Good?
3 minutes and 25 seconds.
If you're listening only, we just took a minute to purposefully make some silly faces for this exact thumbnail conundrum. So
it's so stupid, but it's apparently important.
I know. Just like so many things in our digital worlds that we live in. You had another great idea, just telling everybody, off mic stuff, because that always hits on the podcast. You had another great idea, I thought, which was, as we told people last week, Drew is out of commission for at least the month of March, I reckon. And I think he said maybe like 6 weeks. So again, he may never come back. Lord only knows.
I don't think he will.
Lord only knows with that. But he's out down in New Orleans, running naked, being wild, things of that nature. But you said earlier it would be funny if the whole time Drew was gone, we just did Bubba Shot the podcast or whatever without like to troll him.
Yeah.
Which I think is a tremendous idea. So
well, let's do it next week. Obviously we can't this week because you have to
pick a song.
Got to pick a song. And I want to do, I don't know how you want to divvy it up. If I'll do the research next week, then you do the research the next week. I mean, I know how you want this to go. I know exactly how you want.
When we did Bubba before, Drew always did like the bulk of the research, but I would at least Google the song and find out who the songwriter was and find out as much about it as I could, which I feel is,
Enough
to do a podcast episode on a popular, well-known song. If you find some whatever, like fun facts, behind the scenes shit you can uncover is always good. But what are you doing?
I'm looking for my vape.
That sucks.
It sucks so bad. I had it in my hand. I was getting ready to fucking charge it, and now I don't know where it is. Okay.
Now here
whatever.
I thought so. Is that another thing you tried and failed to quit?
Yep.
Yep.
Hits. Matter of fact, keep talking and I'll edit this out. I got to find this motherfucker because we're only 5 minutes in. There's no goddamn way I'm making it an hour without.
Well, you don't have to edit it out. I'll just keep talking until you find it. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I can't shame a man for. Here's the mistake I think Cho makes. He's not on the mic right now. He's walking around. This is the mistake that I think he makes. Is it's like I think when it comes to self-improvement stuff like that, like quitting vaping, I think you should treat it like women treat a pregnancy. Which is to say, with a pregnancy, as I recall from all the many moons ago when we were going through it, the rule of thumb is 12 weeks. I think at least 12 weeks before you say anything about it. Now, with a pregnancy, it's for very somber reasons. It's because miscarriages often happen more so than people realize, and that's very sad and tragic. But I think in terms of self-improvement things, it should be a similar type of philosophy or methodology, especially if you are a fat piece of shit like me and Corey are. I think that us fat pieces of shit should refrain from telling people, not even just like publicly announcing it, but even telling like friends and shit. Maybe you're like close friends, sure, but anything beyond that you're trying to do anything good for yourself, because odds are you're gonna ultimately not. if you're the type of person that I am anyway. So, like I don't ever bring it up until I've already done it, which very rarely ever happens. Is that it? Did you find it?
No, I found a Toby, and
I don't know what a Toby is.
A Toby is, this is me and Robbie Lee's, where how like,
you've told me this on here before. It's so you left it laying around, right?
Yeah, it's like when one's almost dead. It's almost dead enough to where you go get another one and you set that one aside, but it's got just enough in it to where if you run out, it's not as good as it once was, but it's as good once as it ever was.
Yeah, it's funny. The audience is probably annoyed at me right now because you definitely told me exactly that less than a month ago. Like within the past 2 or 3 episodes, you explained that to me, and I had forgotten it. But anyway,
first off, I agree with you on everything that you just said, and that actually is like that's also applicable to like writers,
yes. 100%.
Like you 100%
don't ever that too. No.
And it's because of a dopamine release. Like if you have an idea for something and you start writing something, like you shouldn't tell anybody you're doing it, because when you do that, it releases all the dopamine and you feel like you've already done the thing. And then you're like, fuck. And I've made that mistake so many times. Like literally every half-baked script I have, the reason that it's half-baked is because I got so excited about it. I started it. I put some really good pages in, and then I started talking about it. And then it's like I released all that energy out into the world. And then I was like, well, I'll get to it eventually. So like I'm trying not to do that as much now, but it's hard. It's really hard because like, especially
all of it's hard. Doing anything that's like worth doing.
Yeah.
Don't hit.
No, it don't. But like,
I mean, it hits to have done it and to succeed at doing anything worth doing. That's what being worth doing means. But like the actual doing part of it, I don't care what you're talking about. Fucking getting in shape, losing weight, writing a novel or a script, or learning guitar, learning Spanish, whatever, fucking any of getting into therapy, going to the gym regularly. None of it hits until but then like, later it will hit. Having done it hits real hard. But almost nothing hits as hard as having done things like that.
Oh my God, dude.
But doing those things, Lord, it don't hit.
Well, like, it depends. I mean, as well as I do, like sometimes when you're like, if you're being paid to write something that maybe it wasn't your idea, you just took a commission or something, like sometimes that can feel like a slog, but at least you have the money. You're like I have a poor purpose for this. Whereas writing on spec, you'd think it would be easier to be like, I'll just finish this later because it's on spec. But oftentimes when it's on spec, that means this was your idea. Like you believe in this so much that you're willing to do it for no money. And I genuinely do get like excited writing it or whatever. But I think we live, and this has ruined us, like we live in such an immediacy culture, like with you got to put out a video every day, you got to do this every day. And I've really started to think about how much it has affected my long-term goals for the things that I want to do, because like every day what I want to do is work on this script that I know good and well will take me 6 months to get a first draft, and then I've got to do but in the back of my brain I go, yeah, but you have to put something out today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And then it gets
and
in
then
the way.
when you do put the thing out that day, you're like,
I'm done.
All right, I hit. No,
Yeah.
I can go.
Oh, dude.
Chill now.
I wrote. I wrote.
It's like you could just then go back to the long-term project after doing the thing for the day, but well, that ain't it. It's like
no. Well, because you got to shift. They're two different things.
That also is true.
You know what I mean? And I try to tell people, like Amber, that all the time. I'm like, everything I do is in the creative field, but there are such different mediums that like some days are a writing day and some days are a performative day. And I can't always I can't sit there and write an essay for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and then 2 seconds later put on a buttercream dream shirt and do that, because I'm in a different headspace. Like, so what I've started to do, and this really works, is every Monday, whichever version of Corey wakes up. Yesterday, it just happened to be writer Corey, right? Whichever version of Corey wakes up, I'm just that Corey all day, and I crank out as much as I can. Like I wrote 3 essays yesterday. I wrote a couple poems. I wrote the first verse and chorus to a song that I ended up drunkenly sending to my buddy Channing Wilson, and he sent me back a demo of it, which was really good. Mm-hmm. And so yesterday was like writing Corey, and I don't think that I could have shifted into any other zone. You know what I mean? But now instead of like fighting it, I'm just going, this is who you are today. Do all of this, and then next week you won't have to write as much because you already did it.
Yeah, I don't. I also have different gears. I guess maybe everybody does. I don't know, but like, I got to be in a stand-up gear to write stand-up, and I got to be in like script gear that hits. But yeah, no, I agree with you completely. That's how my brain works too. I can't go straight from trying to write stand-up material or stand-up bits into a script or whatever.
Right.
I have to kind of like
different.
I mean, yeah, they are very different, but yeah, it's like I have to sort of mentally shift into
and it's hard,
whatever that thing is. So
with jokes, like I've never, and I used to, like, my method has always been every day I write a premise, like almost actually, dude, I mean, I've showed you my insane notes log. That's all it is premises. And it's probably, I mean, I would say it's the equivalent of like 45 pages long in my phone. That's just, I have an idea for a joke. Here's the premise. I write it out. And then every now and then I will sit down and I will go to that and I will pick the one that's exciting and I'll go, okay, right. You know what I mean? But most of the time with stand up, I have to like it just has to happen. You know what I mean? It just like, I have to just be walking around and something happen and I go, holy fuck, that's a bit. And then I go, like, I can't manufacture it the way some people are so good at doing. Like, I assume Gary Goldman is very good at just waking up at 6 a.m. and going, we're writing jokes. Like, I know Seinfeld is. I'm not good at that.
No, I'm not either. It's funny how, because I know you write on the stage, so you get up there and show out so much, and I don't really do any of that. But the thing you said about the notes file, I have a Google Doc that is the same thing. It's 21 pages, and it's like, it's not exclusively just bullet point premises. It's there's a premise section, then there's a chunk section and a set list section, all that stuff. But anyway, I do the same thing when it's like, okay, I need more material. I just go look at my list of premises and pick the one out that like calls to me in that moment, then try to work it out from there. But anyway, I don't know if any of this shit like hits for people or not.
People like talk. I mean, you wouldn't believe this, but comedy podcasts are very popular. People do like hearing about it, but like,
there's a comedy podcasts I listen to that I have like a policy about not talking about comedy, and they act like it's because people bitch about it when they do.
Well, that's fine, but this is who we are, and this is what we're talking about right now. We can stop. That's okay. But I did just want to say, like, you know, me and you are very different in the sense of like 45 premises for me because of how long-winded my jokes are. That's probably
The
20
rest of
special.
your career,
That's 20
your
specials
entire
worth.
career.
Yeah, because dude, when I went to, I was at Wits End in Charleston, and by the way, you can come see me in Atlanta March 20th at the Punchline. Run my new hour. I did my new hour, and it was all just improv based on premises I had in my head, and I just like, and this isn't a brag, anybody that's done something for 21 years should be able to do this, but like I just have, like, some people are bilingual, like they speak English and Spanish. I'm bilingual. I speak English and jokes. Like I know the cadence. I know how to say a sentence that's not really funny, but time it correctly to where it is. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a cheat. But yeah, I don't know. But I can't, like, it's hard for me to shift from that to then the AJC is like, hey, there was a school shooting. Will you give us 800 words on that? And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a completely different. They got you writing about school shootings over there.
They have, yeah.
That ain't it. I mean,
But
I've been in that position before too. I remember when I was like my first ever like comedy job that I got was I did that thing for the New York Daily News very early on. Like when we started touring, and I got like a development deal with Warner Brothers and all that stuff. But like a gig, I made a weekly video for New York Daily News while still living in Knoxville, and they were like, explicitly they were comedy videos, right? But also that's a newspaper and it's for their website. And I remember it like it was the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida, right? Massive hate crime spree killing in fucking, Florida. And they were like, yeah, we want the video to be about that. And I was like, how do you expect me to do that? It's like because like these are supposed to be and have been funny. For those videos, I put on shitty ass like costumes and makeup and did characters and stuff. It wasn't just my like regular rant videos. They were like and they did like background images and shit. They were like way sillier than the normal things that I do. And so I was like, I don't know how the fuck you expect me to translate this format into talking about fucking something like that. And then I made it was formatted the exact same way, but I was just like serious the whole time, respectful and serious and somber, that's what the moment called for. But it was like, there's this shouldn't even be a thing,
Yeah. You don't want me. Why am I doing this?
Right. Like, get someone else to do.
Right. And that's how
for you.
Right. That's how I always felt. And like, but I did also like the one school shooting they had me cover, like it happened in Georgia. I'm here in Georgia and I'm an op-ed writer and they offered it to me. And I had turned in, you have no idea, dude, I write my ass off. I've got so many essays on my backlog that I had turned into them and they were like, this is great, but this just happened. So write about this instead. So I've got like all this. It's pretty nice because I've got all this extra stuff that if I can't write one week, I'll go, what about this? But I was like, okay, I'll do it. But like, where am I coming from here? Like, how joke heavy, and they're like, well, just be you. And I was like, all right, well, me is someone who, like, if you're asking a comedian to write this, I think that you should get the comedian from me. Like, I'm not here to solve this problem. I'm here to tell you that this problem happened and offer my unique explanation on why I think it happened. And I put some jokes in there. And for the most part, everybody was fine with it. But I know that there were some people like, I can't believe he's making light of this situation. I'm like, well, I'm not making light of this situation. I'm just like, they asked a comedian to write about a school shooting. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they ought to know better. Speaking of what the fuck did you think was going to happen, have you caught up? Because I'm not on Severance. Severance is like a big cultural phenomenon, right? People love that
New
show,
episode
right?
tonight. Yeah.
Like it's a big thing. It's a big
now
enough
the
thing.
it's now the number one show on Apple TV ever, and it took over Ted Lasso, which like I'm blown away because it feels like Ted Lasso was more of a cultural phenomenon and
Yeah.
also a family show. Like Severance is very heavy, not for everybody.
Right.
But yeah, I'm caught up, and I too am like, what the
Okay. Well, see,
fuck?
because I didn't. I'm one episode behind because I rewatched the whole show. I rewatched the first season before I even got into the second season, and I'm one episode behind. And I understand from being on Reddit all the time, like I am, that apparently the last episode, the one that I have not seen yet, did not hit for people, or at least a lot of people. And
Oh, it hit for me.
okay, but well, a lot of people on Reddit, it didn't hit for them, and I
I
was
know
going to say
why.
even before. Well, I don't know why yet because I haven't seen it. But
I'll
even
tell you
before that
exactly why.
episode, in episode 7, like not to get too specific with all this or anything, and avoid spoilers and all that, but I thought I started to get kind of a little bit worried, a little bit, where I was
About Lost.
like the show Lost, like you
Yes.
had brought up, yes, like that it was getting a little too what I call bug fucky. Like there were some things that started to happen as this season has gone on that's made me start to question how satisfactorily all these
Right.
things are going to be answered and all this is really going to come together. Because if they're not, it's going to heavily impact the way that I ultimately feel about the show looking back at it.
Well,
Like that's how I always am with these like mystery box shows and stuff. Is I get super into them, I dig the fuck out of them the whole time I'm watching them. But if they don't,
it only works if it pays off.
it only works if it pays off. And if they don't end up paying it off, then retroactively, I'm like, man, fuck that whole show. Now that I know that it didn't pay off or work out, I don't give a fuck about any of that. So
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at on Severance right now. But I am loving it, of course.
I'm sort of two minds on that. Like, I didn't watch Lost until it was over and everybody had shat upon it and whatever. And so, much like I think me and you have talked about this, I've heard that like people who just now started watching Game of Thrones, like after it was all over, the majority of them do not have a problem with season 7 and 8. Like the people that binge it and stuff, like they do not have a problem with it. And my theory on it is like, well, that's because the bar was set so low for them. Like they'd heard nothing but this is fucking horrible, this is dog shit, that they went into it with that and it just wasn't complete dog shit. And so they liked it. And with Lost, like, yeah, dude, the ending was like whatever, but I did enjoy the journey. And I think there's something to be said for it's not the destination, it's the journey in a way. Like I was not completely satisfied, but also I hadn't tuned in every week like these people. You know what I mean? I hadn't tuned in every week. And that makes it different. Like, so I didn't feel betrayed because I could stop at any moment. You know what I mean? But with Severance, I believe this episode that you're talking about that didn't hit for people. Number one, the reason that it didn't hit for people, I think, in a macro sense, is that it was the one episode directed by their director of photography, a woman, and it looks wildly different. Like it doesn't look like any other episode of the show, and I would love to call it a bottle episode just because it doesn't feature a good bit of the main cast. But like bottle episodes are usually to save money. I don't see how they saved money in this episode because the special effects were still out of this world. Like they had this one shot, dude, where I was like, well, that's CGI or fuck, they might have used AI, but it's not. Like where it cuts from a person and then it goes down through the computer, through the wire cables of the computer and down into the mainframe. And they actually just did that with a microscopic camera. Like they showed how they did it and shit. And so I won't give anything away, but this episode focuses mainly on Gemma. And in my opinion,
did the previous episode not also focus on her?
Wait, what's
because I am either I am wrong and I am caught up, or you are wrong and you're one of us is off. Because the last episode I saw was the episode that's nothing but Gemma. Are there 2 episodes that's nothing but Gemma?
No, that must have maybe
So
I'm
either
thinking,
maybe I'm caught up and I don't realize it, or one of us is off.
Well, I think you're
track
caught up.
here.
The only reason I'm saying is because that particular episode is the one that I've seen everybody shit on.
Well, that's the one that made me. That's the one that made me start to go like, I don't know about the direction this is heading in, but I'm pretty sure there's been another one since then.
Well, maybe, but
people
even
on
if there
Reddit
is,
didn't.
I'm of the opposite mind on that, because like I thought that one, obviously it didn't answer a ton of questions, but like, and not to spoil things for everybody else, but like seeing that bottom floor and realizing that like, okay, she's a test subject for all of this, you know what I mean? And then it sort of tied back to when Irving goes over to Homeboy's house and the dude accidentally slips up that maybe Lumen has been around longer than they think it is. Made me believe like, holy shit, Irving was a test subject too. And then I started thinking about like, what is this algorithm that they're working on? And to me, it's like they're trying to perfect the transfer of human consciousness so that the head Kier guy can live forever after being frozen on ice or something like that. And that's what they're taking all these undesirable numbers out or what now that I don't know how they're going to explain how these people know like this binary code looks bad versus this one, but like,
so see that all that part of it, and people. So we probably should have saved all this for the end, like we used to do with Game of Thrones talk. Because if people ain't watching Severance, they're gonna be like, "Who gives a fuck?" So
we'll go watch it. It's great.
yeah, but
Our
so
our close personal friend Ben Stiller is
I'll
the
shift
producer.
gears to an entirely different thing, but even though it's related to this, but whether you've seen this movie or not, this is more of a general statement. The example that comes to mind for me is Jordan Peele's second movie, Us, right? Yeah. I absolutely fucking loved Get Out.
Yeah.
And I absolutely fucking loved Nope.
Nope was great.
Really loved Nope. I actually like Nope better than Get Out. I think, of course, I'm a white, but either way, I love both those movies.
Well, Nope has the Western element to it and the Hollywood stuff.
And it's a creature feature, which I fucking love. I'm just a fool for those. My boys love Nope, too. They ate that shit up, just like that alien monster ate all them innocent peoples. But anyway, spoilers. But his second movie, Us, if y'all recall, even if you never saw the movie, the marketing was everywhere. It's like there's everybody has an evil twin who wears a red jumpsuit and has a pair of scissors and shit. They're like, everybody's got an evil doppelganger. And the premise of the movie is everybody's evil doppelgangers arrive to overthrow us or whatever, basically. And it's like the first hour, whatever, is real wild. And, you know, like when that's all happening and it's unexplained, it's real captivating and stuff. And then in my opinion, that movie tried to give like answers to like, this is what's really happening and this is how all this works, right? And for me, it just made less than no fucking sense at all. I was like, really? That's what we're supposed to believe? A suspension of disbelief is one thing, but that's what you're telling me is happening here? Like, that's how this whole system works? Because that is completely illogical. Like, that just doesn't, nothing about that makes any sense to me. And it made that movie not hit for me. And I'm like, I'm starting to get those kind of vibes out of Severance, basically. That might not be what happens. Like, I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong. I'm just saying I've started to wonder if it's going to be that type of thing where it's like, okay, it is going to answer the questions, but in a way that I kind of still find ultimately nonsensical, basically.
I definitely...
yeah.
Us definitely disappointed me in a way, but I'm such a huge Lupita fan that
she's pretty awesome.
She's very awesome that I like. And also, like, you know, I told you, like, I was never into horror, like never wanted to do it. And Jordan Peele got me into it. And so, like, I sort of just bought into his whole vibe. And I was like, well, if this is what this is, I'm in, you know. And yeah, dude, it didn't make any sense, but like so many horror, like Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know if you watched that. Didn't make, I'm not justifying what they did. I'm just saying in my brain, I didn't care.
Right. In my opinion, I'll say this, and then we'll take a quick break. But I know, and you're right, but I've heard Stephen King talk about this a lot, and I'm actually totally fine with this. I know I said earlier, mystery box shows, they set up big, they set up big questions that you inherently want the answers to. If you don't get answers, it pisses you off. But with like supernatural shit, right, in horror movies or sci-fi movies and stuff like that, I'm completely okay with just throwing me into a situation and being like, okay, this is a universe where this fucking thing just
This
happens.
makes sense. Yeah.
Like Stephen King used to say, like he doesn't.
Stranger Things.
There's a story he wrote about a fucking elongated finger that comes out of a bathroom drain and like chokes a lady to death or something.
He's so wild.
He's wild as fuck. Well, yeah, I mean, it was cocaine for years, and I think he just got like residual cocaine.
Yeah, but
brain,
dude, I know plenty of people who do cocaine. That
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's a
like
good point.
everybody can.
Well, it's like when
he's
like,
wild. Well, yeah, cocaine, and I'm like, well, what about my uncle? He didn't ever write Carrie.
Yes, but I think the idea is like when you take clearly an already wild motherfucker, and put him on cocaine for 25 years or whatever, he ain't gonna get less wild.
No.
But anyway, and his whole thing with that was just like, you know, I'm not going to waste time trying. He's like, of course it doesn't make any sense. He's like, that was just a short story. You know, he's like, it's just an idea I had and I thought it'd be wild. And like, I'm okay with that. Man, I was just watching something else where this same thing came up and I was like, I can't remember what it was. Oh, that's going to really bother me. I think it was, I do know. Did you watch that movie, The Gorge, on Apple Plus?
Amber started it without me, and it has pissed me off so bad because I wanted to watch that.
It's a good movie.
I'm sure it is. I wanted to watch it with her, and she started it without me, and now I can't ever watch it.
It's a good movie, and basically, I was like, that's
Miles Teller, right?
Yes, and Wild Eye Girl,
Anna Joy Taylor,
Anya Taylor-Joy, yeah,
Anya.
Isn't it Anya Taylor-Joy? Is that?
I always thought it was Anna Taylor-Joy. That doesn't matter.
Anyway, yeah, it's Anya Taylor-Joy. Anyway,
she's got that it factor, don't you think?
She absolutely has that it factor. She's wild looking. Is another way to say that. But yeah, she's magnetic. But that movie is like that. You don't know what's going on at first, and they do end up explaining it all, and like. I was like, this would have hit, and I still like that movie, but I was like, this would have hit harder for me if they would have basically just been like, it's a portal to hell, pretty much. It's like, you know, portals to hell are not real, but you're just like, this is some interdimension. Like you've seen The Mist.
You ever seen Preacher?
Yeah, I've seen the first few episodes, but I tried to watch that with Katie, which was a huge mistake, and because she wasn't into it, and so then I left it too. I know that Earl's in it.
It makes so much sense that Earl's in it, and I hope Earl's listening to this because me and Michael Service were talking about this, about how he's like, I swear to God, Earl. He goes, that guy gets more work than any actor. He's like, he's never not working, and I was like, yeah, man. So many scripts call for a dipshit asshole sheriff, and who you gonna call? Like, who you gonna call? Fucking W. Earl Brown, son.
Yeah. What we could shift into talking about acting and Earl a little bit, actually, right after this, because I have things I'd like to say about that. But you know, you'll never believe that, but it's true.
By the way, I tried to do this by saying that Anna Taylor-Joy had the it factor.
It factor. Thank you. I didn't even think about that. Went completely over my head. But you know, it doesn't go over my head how hard Factor hits the company. Y'all know, I mean, I've been telling you for a long time, ever since I got sent Factor as part of this whole deal. I ain't never looked back because it's hard. You know, I always say I like cooking. I enjoy cooking, but it's unrealistic to cook every meal of every day. And for me, especially lunch, like I'm not going to rustle up lunch, but I don't want to eat trash either. And for a long time, I didn't have a good answer to that particular conundrum until I found Factor. All right. Factor allows you to optimize your nutrition because they have chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved, ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. You can fuel up right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. You can also lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals. That's based on a randomized, controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Your results will, of course, vary depending on your actual diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. You can choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast items, grab and go snacks, and many more add-ons. So reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat with Factor. Joe, you got any favorites? Any Factor favorites over there?
Man, I do. They have this like onion chicken situation that I know me and you have talked about. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I love all the things they do. And they also provide me with some vegan options, which is great because I try to do that twice a week. And one time, actually, I heated up the vegan option and I didn't even know that it was the vegan option until after I ate it and looked at the box, and it was fire. And as someone, as Trae was saying, I got a child and a 2-year-old one at that. So lunchtime for me is especially like I got to try to take care of him. And it's just so easy for me to pop something in for 2 minutes, have a nutritious, and again, really good meal. Because like obviously there's plenty of things that you can pop in the microwave for 2 minutes and eat, but they're not always good. But with Factor, they are absolutely delicious. They also do a lot of their meals. They'll put it on like a bed of cauliflower rice instead of rice, which I really love because I'm trying to stay as lean as I possibly can. And again, I can't recommend them enough. Not only have me and Trae just been on them forever, I got my parents on them. They used our promo code and they have still been with it. And by the way, if you want to get on the train, eat smart with Factor, get started at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and use code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. At 50% off, I mean, try it. And I promise you, when you try it, you're going to be like, wow, not only is this delicious, but I'm saving time. And time, baby, is money. Know what I'm saying? Factor.
Make a hit.
Make a hit.
All right. Yeah, we're back. So yeah, to give our Earl some of his flowers here.
This show is also sponsored by StayFancyMerch.com, where you can get Putting on Airs merch and also the gerrymander hat and the shirt that I'm wearing. StayFancyMerch.com, right? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah. Also hits. To give Earl some of his flowers here, just to say some shit that I think about acting in general. Again, don't know how much this will hit for people.
He's real good at it.
Yes, and here's what I mean specifically. Obviously, living out here in Hollywood, I've auditioned for tons of stuff. I ain't got shit. I think I'm terrible at auditioning, but maybe I just don't really hit at acting that much either. But I've taken a lot of classes.
Well, two things can be true.
Right. I've taken a lot of, I know I'm bad at auditioning, and I think I might just be bad at acting too. But and part of the reason I think that is because of Earl, frankly. but he can make a lot of people feel bad because of how good he is. But anyway, I feel like there's kind of differing philosophies when it comes to acting, and actually you can see this in acting. Earl's definitely a character actor, right? But a lot of directors and stuff, they want actors to do less, be more subdued. There's like a cliche with actors that they go too big or go too big or too broad. Stop acting and just be the character. You're acting too much. And what I interpret that to mean is like they're doing big choices, big actory choices, like character actory type stuff.
I'd be doing that. And
and I normally don't. I don't think that suits me, right? And I feel like whenever I try to do that type of thing, I just feel like it just really don't work. It's just like this dude is acting, and it's very obvious he's acting. And I think if I don't do that type of thing, I can act very naturally, right? But the thing with Earl is he does both at the same time. Yeah. Earl is big. And I've told him all this. We've talked about all this in person, but it's like he makes these like big fucking choices and these really actory things, but like
he is that guy.
But he's so good at it that it plays like naturally. And at least like disagreements sometimes where it's like, because he'll help me do auditions and stuff and audition tapes.
Me too.
And I'll be like, Earl, like he's like coaching me to do the type of thing that I feel like he does. And I want to be like, but I can't do that. You are more suited to do the type of thing. I'm not saying that you can on the level that he can, obviously,
No.
but like
I
your
understand.
type of
Me
you're
and
more that type, and I'm just not. But he's like,
I'm a character, dude. Like I'm a big character.
So many,
like,
but so many people, man, they cannot pull that
me and
type
Earl,
of thing off, and Earl's just really, really, really good at it.
I can't even remember the show that it was for, but I was out in LA and I asked Earl, I was like, "Hey, I've got this audition. Will you read with me?" And he's like, "I'd be happy to," you know. And I get over there and we find out that the thing I'm auditioning for, Earl is auditioning for the part that I'm playing against, like the other person. Like it was this crazy coincidence. He's like, "Holy shit, I'm up for the guy that you're talking to. So like this is great, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And so we did it, and Earl like gave me so many good tips, and like we went and watched the tape back together. And I remember he goes, "If you don't get this, please understand it's not because you didn't do a good job." He said, "Because you listened to everything I said." He goes, "I would cast you. You did a great job." Earl got the part and I didn't, obviously. Like Earl was and Earl, I don't even think Earl was worried about it. I think Earl was just like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get I'm doing this, I'm just auditioning as like a favor. Like I'm gonna get this shit." But he's yeah, he's and it's so weird when they say act without acting, because it's like the only art form. Like they would never say, "Go, hey, when you're on stage, don't try to be funny. Just be. Like don't
Well, there's some motherfuckers who seem to believe that, by the way.
That's true. But that's true. But you know, another good one, and it's not just because we're buddies, but
some
like
of whom are hugely successful.
Sean Bridgers is also so good at that. Like when you watch Get Shorty, like him and Get Shorty, like he makes these bold, hilarious choices, but they make so much sense because he just is that guy. And I remember like the first time we ever met Sean, he comes over to Earl's house and he just told a story. But it's the first time I've ever seen an aside from Earl, an actor tell a story, and he told it as if he was doing the scene. And I remember just watching it, just going like, this guy's just so good. Like I remember hearing like Jerry Seinfeld talk about how if you watch episodes of Seinfeld, when they cut to his face, he'll have this like look on his face, and he goes, "That was me literally just going, holy shit, you're really doing some acting right now."
Yeah.
Like it just blew him away. And like I think people don't understand that. Like they go, "Yeah, you go up there, you read their lines or whatever." But like we had an opportunity. I don't remember if you were with me, but Ruben Fleischer, who was our potential producer of a show that we were doing, he took me. Did you go over to the set of Superstore with me?
Yes. Yeah. I did.
So we went over to the set of Superstore, and it's like America Ferrara and the dude from Groundhog's Day that I can't remember his name, but he's a fucking legend. And we just
Stephen
Tobolowsky, yeah. And we just like got to sit there behind the camera and watch a scene be done. And I remember just watching it, just going like, this is unbelievable. Like yes, it's just people saying some words, but like I'm here knowing this is a show and I believe every fucking thing that's happening. Like this is crazy. And for me and you to think that we could ever.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize, and I didn't realize it, but you're right. It's like you watch it, and I think a lot of people think like, how hard could it be? But you're right. When you're around people that do it for real. I mean, I've told this story a ton, and this is actually a completely different thing. It's even more stark contrast, but I did a table read for a Netflix cartoon. And
you talking about Dumail?
Who, what?
Was this Oliphant or Dumail?
Neither. Josh Duhamel that was not a cartoon. That was and I wasn't part of that table read. I just went with Earl to a table read.
Oh, yeah.
That movie came out. It's called Buddy Games.
Oh yeah, you talking about homie from New Girl?
Yes, but I'm saying I was a table read for a Netflix cartoon, which means almost everybody else was either a star or like a voice actor, like a legit voice actor. Just what they do. Including like fucking Phil Lamar was there.
One of the greats of all time.
And bro, when I tell you that I have never in my life felt more outclassed than I did that day doing that. I mean, it was like I mean, just immediate. I was like, oh wow, this is like, because you kind of think too, it's like a lot of people lament this about voice acting because now they just get celebrities to just do their own regular voice, where it's like,
Right.
dedicated voice actors are kind of a dying breed.
Sure.
But like, some of them are still out there and they still hit real hard, and it's like the stuff that they can do is fucking wild. And when you're like in the room trying to do it along with them or whatever, it's just like, oh wow, y'all are in a I'm way out of my fucking depth here. Like, this is, you guys are in a completely different weight class.
Well, dude,
and I felt that way in like acting classes too, with just like regular acting and shit.
How about fucking twice that's happened when me and you were in the same room? The first time we did the table read for Middle of Somewhere, we had Gary Anthony Williams play the bartender from the Boondock. Everybody knows him from the Boondocks. Everybody knows him from Undercover Brother. Like, he's great. Just comes in there with a couple lines and murders. And then we did Dead Pilot Society, and Steve Agee comes in and like, this is all shit we wrote, so you'd think we'd be better at it. No, not even a little bit. Like they're like, people really need to put some respect on these motherfuckers, because it's like, I just don't understand anybody that's like, anybody can do that. Because I like, the obvious answer to that is, then why don't you? Like, why don't you do it?
And speaking of Steve Agee, like dudes that are like, very character actory looking, they're not traditionally handsome or sexy or whatever.
Yeah, he's great in Peacemaker.
Like, those guys in particular, if you see them pop up all the time, it's because they hit incredibly fucking hard at what doing.
So
it's like that dude, Dylan from Severance, right? Or like probably the king of these guys right now, like Paul Walter Hauser, dude.
Yeah, he's like, amazing.
What that guy can fucking do is like truly, genuinely incredible. And again, I think a lot of comedians probably have some of this. Before I moved out here and started being around these people and in audition rooms or in acting classes and stuff, I just didn't realize. I think a lot of comics are like, stand-up's way harder than acting. Like, if you know what I mean? It's like, you just,
by the way,
they
write think that, but they're wrong.
Yeah, but it's like, you can just show up and do it or whatever. It's fine. And, and I kind of thought that when I first moved out here, but now that I've seen the shit like live and up close, it's like, nah, it's a whole other fucking thing, And I do think you can get there, by the way, because acting classes definitely actually do help. That's the thing too. I was like, that shit ain't gonna change. It's like, you either got it or you don't, but they definitely do help. And I think you can like get there and get a lot better, but at a certain level, I don't know.
I guess the one argument that I could make, is there have been more stand-up comedians translate to acting than there have been actors translate to stand-up comedian. Like, try to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, yes. But a lot of those stand-up comedians who do that are just, they're just crazy fucking talented.
Right. No, that's true. But I'm saying, like, there is, like, I do believe, and I've had this conversation with actors before, like, what we do does translate to being an actor in a way, in the sense of so much of it is timing, pacing, stage presence, being likable, all that stuff. But then you see, like, if you noticed, and I did because I was there for the taping of that Bill Burr Black and White special, you could tell that since his last special before that, he had taken acting classes, because on stage you could tell it. Like, his jokes, his act outs and stuff were like way better. Like, he was way better at doing the characters and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, every actor I've ever talked to has always been like, what you do is harder than what I do. And I look at them and say, absolutely not, or I'd be booked. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd be booked.
But I do kind of think,
say the same thing. Like, everyone falsely believes that what we do is the hardest thing ever. And I just disagree. Now, that could be because we just were born to do it and they were born to do that.
Right. That's what I was about to say. They could just answer that with like, okay, well, then I could go up there and, kill with a set at the Improv or whatever, but I can't, meaning an actor could say that.
Right.
Like, look, dude, I do. I think, like, in a vacuum on a one-to-one basis, I do still think that stand-up is harder than acting.
It is. It's the hardest. It's the hardest art form
But
ever.
like
It's the hardest art form ever.
But I'm just saying I have a whole new level of respect for acting though that I frankly kind of did not have before I moved out here and lived in Hollywood and show business for a
I have
while.
a huge respect. It changes the way that I watch movies. Like I
Me
watch,
too, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's almost like a curse a little bit. Like when you like, I'm not going to sit here and say like that we are so entrenched in the business, like we've been on sets all the time, but I've been on enough sets and I've worked on enough pilots and I've hung out with enough actors and I've written enough things to where, you know, when you write things, so like when I'm watching stuff, I'm never fully in it, you know, because I'm always going, how'd they get that transition shot? Or like, or I'll go, oh, that's how they tricked me into thinking this was a one shot because they did that. Like I'm always doing that. And sometimes I'll have to just like forcibly go, Corey, watch the fucking movie. You know what I mean? But then sometimes some Alec Baldwin will be in the middle of a monologue and I can't even hear the words because all I'm doing is going, God damn it. Like, how like how is he doing this? Like this is so fucking good. And then watching some of the Marvel stuff knowing that like these motherfuckers are acting to floating tennis balls, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like,
on
God
that note,
damn.
dude, I think we probably talked about maybe even on here before, but on that note, it's actually having rewatched it as an adult with my kids and stuff, it's honestly pretty wild and impressive how not bad Michael Jordan did in Space Jam. When you think about
He's great.
because
He's great.
when you think about like the fact that
I mean,
he
he's
ain't
playing
an
himself.
actor and you take into account the circumstances of that movie and how he had to go about making it. And it's like stuff that made like the type of shit that made Ian McKellen cry and walk off the set of The Hobbit, right? Because he's
Right.
like he's a real trained actor. And he's like, I didn't sign up for this bullshit.
You literally did though. You did sign up for it.
Well, I mean, I think he meant when I became an actor. When I became an actor, this is not why.
Then guess what? Don't do The Hobbit.
Well, I mean, you know, but they backed up
I
the
get
Brinks
what
truck,
he's
I'm
saying,
sure.
but
And
shut
he's
the fuck
fucking
up.
Gandalf, bro.
I know. I love Ian McKellen.
Well, what are they gonna do? They just ain't no Hobbit if they can't get him on board with it.
I know that, but I love Ian McKellen. But at the same time, I'm like that movie is not your passion project artistic thing. This is a big budget $1 million movie. Just fucking talk to the tennis ball, motherfucker.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, he obviously ultimately did. He just had a little bit of a breakdown. I mean, he's an old queen, right? He's not, isn't that right?
Yes, dude.
Yes.
I love.
I'm just saying, he's an old fucking, you know, he's an old gay actor. Like,
yeah,
he had a bit of a fucking, you know, moment or whatever.
I get it. I get it.
He came back around anyway. So I'm saying. And I have no idea how you do that well or believably. And the fact that Michael Jordan did it 30 years ago as a fucking basketball player or whatever is pretty goddamn wild.
You know why? Because Michael Jordan, I guarantee you, treated his performance in that movie the same way he treated Game 6.
Yeah. Well, also that, and maybe this is what you mean, but I think it's also like he's never been overly concerned about anyone else around him or anything anyway. Do you know what I mean?
It's all him.
Like he has like, yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, so sure. Bugs Bunny's right there. I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, yeah. And he's not going to be intimidated by any of that either. It's like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, even though it's Bugs Bunny, he's like, I'm fucking Michael Jordan. Like he's just, he just has no doubt that he's going to hit at a thing. And so frankly, he does.
I mean, LeBron did a great job in the second one too, like for what it's worth. Like, and LeBron was good in that Amy Schumer movie. Like, I do think that there's some people who were just great and that anything they do is going to be great. Like, did you ever have that buddy in high school who, like, let's say hypothetically, because I had a buddy like this, so athletic, so good at everything. I remember the first time he'd never played ping pong in his life, ever. Never played ping pong. And we all played ping pong like crazy and we're good. He comes in first game, waxes everybody's ass because he can just play.
I mean, like Dustin Thompson was that person.
Yeah, there's some people, and I bet you Thompson could act, man.
He was the Ryan Gosling of our school, bro.
Like, there's just
I've never told y'all that before. Talked about that, like, because me and him did all the theater stuff together and plays together and stuff, and he was like, he was the dude. Like no doubt. I was number 2 on the call sheet. I was his best friend or psychic or whatever, that type of thing.
But he
like,
could just play.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like, without question, he's our leading man. He's like the best athlete in our class. He's fucking homecoming king, all that shit. Yeah, he was that dude.
Like
100%.
My Thompson.
He's gonna listen to this too. Sorry, Thompson. I know it's making you uncomfortable right now, but
no, that's okay.
He asked the question, and it's true.
My Thompson, as you know, is Robbie, and I have no doubt that if Robbie had put as much time into what it is that I do as I did, he would be miles ahead of me, because he's just that dude. Like, Robbie is so naturally funny. He can act his ass off. I've seen him do it because, when I say he acts, I mean, he lies, but that's an act, you know what I mean? But like, he can make you believe anything. But there's some dudes that just got it. And by the way, like, Space Jam is a good fucking movie. Like, it's a good fucking movie, and Jordan does great in it. And I've seen people, shit on it, but like, what do you mean? Like, it's good.
Yeah, well, we were the right age for it when it came out.
But I've watched it recently.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that Space Jam doesn't hit. I'm just saying you do know good and well that, like, nostalgia glasses or whatever are a thing too. Okay. You can rewatch something as an adult that you loved as a kid, and it still hit for you, even if it might not really hit. If it weren't for that. I'm not saying Space Jam don't hit. I'm just saying that's a real phenomenon.
Can I tell you why I'm different? I can look at you right now and tell you that Caddyshack's not that good of a movie. And I loved that movie so much. Loved it. But watching it now, and it's not any type of like, oh my God, woke this, woke that. Like, nothing offends me or whatever. You can just really tell that they were just on cocaine and just started filming scenes. Like, it barely makes sense. Some of the, like, it's not, and I have a lot of nostalgia for that movie, but like, if my dad wanted to sit down and watch it with me, I would watch it. But like, I don't get the hankering to turn on Caddyshack like I used to as a kid. You know what I mean? But I'd watch Space Jam right now. I would. But Caddyshack and also Animal House blows.
Agreed.
It blows.
I actually never saw either of those movies until I was an adult. And I was in my 20s, like college age or whatever, the first time I saw both of those, Animal House and Caddyshack. And I remember being like, I guess I'm not going to say anything to anybody about this because I know that these are timeless classics, but
no, they blow.
I don't get what I don't get what all the fuss was about. But comedy specifically ages like milk, as we know. So that's
for the record. Part of it.
And Space Jam's a kid's movie.
I still hold Caddyshack in my heart as something that I loved. I don't hold Animal House in that regard. But I'll tell you this, but it's not all movies from back then, because you would think like, oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show, that was a cocaine-fueled mess. That movie holds up so well. Like, that's one of the best movies ever made. Like, and I didn't see that until I was an adult. So that's no nostalgic lens coming back. Like, that movie is as a coked up, fueled mess as anything I just named, but it's really good. Like, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Coked up, fueled messes can hit. Case in point, Stephen King, as we mentioned earlier. All right, I want to go ahead and wrap it up, if that's all right with you, because I'm going to tell the people something. You guys are going to hear this twice on this one episode, but my special is finally coming out, called Trash Daddy, Thursday, March 13th. So if this comes out, if you listen to this on Wednesday, then it'll be out tomorrow, March 13th. 5 p.m. Pacific time, I think. And I'm doing like a live stream thing where I'm talking to people or something. I don't know. But it's on 800 Pound Gorillas YouTube channel.
I'll come comment on it. That'll be fun.
No, I shouldn't have said nothing. I don't hear from me now. But anyway, but like they're also, if our network, the sweethearts that they are, is putting a little pre-recorded thing I did at the end of our entire catalog for a little while. That's about my special. So y'all are going to hear me talk about it twice. That's why. If you listen, it's on every other episode too. This is the only episode where you hear me talk about it twice.
Well, I'm very proud of you,
losing my mind or anything.
I'm very proud of you, buddy. And by the way, you know how excited I am? Like, there's part of me that's like really missed touring with you, even though it was for the best so I could raise my child and you could work on your hour and stuff. But I'm so glad that I get to listen to a Trae Crowder special that I've never heard before.
Well, we've still had the zany shows and stuff.
Well,
There's going to be stuff in there that you've heard for sure.
I'm aware of that, but like I haven't, but I haven't. It's not exhausted
you haven't been seeing
to
it
me.
every night. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yes.
And by the way, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just like used to, dude. I could like, when we were touring together heavily, I think any of us could go up and do each other's act, like whatever, so it loses some luster. But like, as a fan of yours, because I think people don't think about that, but it's like you're my best friend, but also I'm a fan. Like I'm a fan of your stand-up, and I get to watch a Trae Crowder special that I didn't get to see a lot of, and I'm super pumped about that.
That's right. Well, thank you. And he's not the only one, guys. You get to too, so go check it out. Also, come see me on the road. It is, of course, just so everybody knows, it's completely different material. If you come see me on the road now, you won't see anything that is in this special. Obviously, that's how it works. But some people don't realize that. So don't think if you watch the special, you can't come see me or vice versa, because it's totally different. So do both. Go to TraeCrowder.com, and there should be a link to a special on there as soon as it's available. And then also all my dates are on there. Me and Cho will be in Chattanooga on April 12th. Before that, on April 11th, me and Drew, if he's still alive, will be in Knoxville. And I got a lot of other shows.
If he's not, by the way, I'll drive up.
Yeah, so it'll hit either way. Wilbur in Boston is coming up soon next weekend, and then also plenty of other shows around that and off into the future. So go to TraeCrowder.com, and I appreciate you.
Hey, I'm in Atlanta on March 20th. That's a Thursday, and it's only one show. It's at the Punchline. And since it's only one show, it will sell out. So you need to get those tickets at CoreyRyanForrester.com. Also, while you're at CoreyRyanForrester.com, you can click on the link to my Hero, which is sort of like my Patreon, where you can see my old special, A Long Line of Stupid, which I think is very good. And just so you know, my most famous joke from that special, at least the one that went the most viral, it had like 50 million views, or me talking about my two grandmothers. I'm happy to report that the piece of shit grandmother in that joke died. So in honor of that, go watch it and go sign up to it. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. And that'll be great. And also, if you come see me in Atlanta, you will see me running my new hour, because I also am going to be recording in August. I think I'm just going to do an album, though, just audio only. I think I'm going to sell it on cassette tape. You know, why not? So either way, go to CoreyRyanForrester.com. Listen to Putting on Airs, by the way. That's our sister show where me and Trae talk about fancy people and their goings-ons. And just support everything we do. And we love you. And also, thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Here's to 6 weeks without fucking Drew.
Fart.
Hey, everybody. Here's an essay I wrote, and I thought that perhaps y'all would like to hear me read it, or in this case, see me read it. The essay is called Don't Tell Me Who God Is, We've Met. It starts out with a quote from the Bible. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Little repetitive in my opinion. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. Believe in the Bible all you want, don't bother me a bit, but there's certain passages I get hung up on, and perhaps none more than the one above. Followers of the biblical God believe that he or she, or actually considering the existence of the Holy Trinity, I think they might be more appropriate, but I just mopped the floor and I don't want to have to clean up a can of worms. Created the earth in a mere 6 days. Now, that right there is hard enough to fathom, but it's not the part that I have trouble with. For the sake of argument, or perhaps ironically playing the devil's advocate, I'll go against my better judgment and assume it's true that it went down that way. I mean, if this feller or gal or non-binary being is powerful enough to move mountains, heal the sick with a touch, walk on water, and rise from the dead, I see no reason why he couldn't also create the world in a timely manner. The trouble I have with it, see, is the part where on the seventh day he rested. If I had to guess, that's probably also the day he thought to invent Mexicans. Call me crazy, but what type of omniscient and omnipotent being powerful enough to flood the earth, torture his most beloved follower into almost killing their child using a teenage girl level ultimatum, fill the seas with blood, cover the earth in locusts, and order the execution of the firstborn son in every family needs to rest? I mean, if the Third Reich can employ the use of amphetamines to go on a 3-day bender in the sky shooting down Allied planes, and if doctors David DeAndrea and Jerome Shintag could come up with Adderall in the 90s to keep our kids from drooling all over their calculus exams, surely the good God above could pull some sort of reverse Avada Kedavra, sorry to you non-Harry Potter fans for that reference, and keep himself awake and energized ad infinitum. Sorry to you non-Latin fans for that reference. As with most things I write, the first couple paragraphs are sorely beside the point. They just serve to show you the inspiration that led me to the pretentious BS that I'm about to lay down over the next several. Thank you for bearing with me. Unfortunately, I'm still forced to doom scroll on the app formerly known as Twitter, and I've noticed sort of a harrowing trend as of late. It's not news to anyone that when He Who Shall Not Be Named, damn it, another Harry Potter reference, bought Twitter, the algorithm was heavily shifted to promote our current president and his campaign, along with hate speech, blatant disinformation, and, most shocking to me, literal pro-Hitler propaganda. If you aren't online a lot, you may think I'm being hyperbolic, but unfortunately, I am not. There is now a large swath of people, both old and young, who are claiming that we have been lied to about Hitler by the media and that he wasn't actually the villain we've all been led to believe. I myself find it entirely too convenient that this is all happening during the first time since World War II that there are not enough veterans to refute it and speak out. I can tell you right now that if my great-grandpa and uncles were still around, they'd inform you that it is your patriotic duty to punch any and every Nazi sympathizer directly in the face. But yet again, I digress. The latest in this series of algorithmic shifts with the sole purpose of keeping us all fighting while the oligarchs rob us blind, excuse me, has been what I'd describe as vigilant Christianity. And that is to say, Christianity that doesn't focus on anything Jesus ever said, but instead aims to bully and mock any and everyone who doesn't view the Holy Bible as infallible. The King James Version, of course, because we all know that God wrote it in Old English for the white man. Look, I'm all for standing up for what you believe in. I'd be a hypocrite to say otherwise. And in my belief, I certainly include your right to believe in and stand up for your religion. But as I feel applies to everything from our Constitution to the rules written in chalk on elementary school boards across the country, your rights end where mine begin. And frankly, this shift towards Christian nationalism falls firmly in that camp, in my opinion. I've seen these people claim that Hindus worship the devil. Hell, I've even seen a great many of them say that Allah is the devil, even though anyone who has half a brain knows that Allah just means God in Muslim speak. It's absolutely insane. It's dangerous, and it's certainly not what Jesus would have you do. So perhaps you all need to start wearing them little bracelets again. I've been called an atheist because I'm not a Christian, which is weird because I didn't know there were only two options. I'm here to tell you that I'm not an atheist. Far from it. As I write this to you, I'm walking around the park listening to Bob Dylan, and I've lost count on how many times I've seen God. I saw her in the trees as she rustled the leaves ever so gently with her breath. I saw her in a mother squirrel feeding her young'un. I saw her in a deer staring me down and giving me the stink eye because I was walking in his preferred path. And I felt her in my soul when, after taking a breath of fresh air, I felt all my worries evaporate for a brief second. I see God in people, the helpers. I see God in the lakes and the streams. Just about the only thing I don't see God in anymore is the people who try to tell me who God is. I've been told that because I don't believe in a biblical God, I can't be a moral person because there's no one telling me what is wrong or right. I began this essay with a quote, so I guess I'll end it with one. If the only thing keeping a person decent is the expectation of divine reward, then, brother, that person is a piece of shit. Detective Russ Cole, True Detective. Well said, Rust. Now, y'all get out there and see God today. That's my essay. Thank y'all for listening. I love you very much. Bye-bye.
drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. We collected from our love of Downton Abbey. We collected, we found out we're both so fancy. Hey, what's the difference between rednecks and royal families? Only money, cause they both have sex with family. Ew. Putting on airs. What other rednecks will talk about foreign affairs? Laughing so hard that we end up falling out our chairs. Sir Trae, Sir Corey, oh what a pair. High class topics with a redneck flair, oh yeah. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Okay, it's Team Squirrel or Team Trae. Oh yeah, we keeping it basic. He thinks that the squirrels at Corey's mom's house are racist. And you know squirrels live in the same place for generations. So Trae, you better count your days and you better count your blessings. Cause all the squirrels that you ran over, that you think are nameless, faceless, their families are getting together and plotting on you from the attic and basement. So even though Corey is dumb, fat, and bald, he knows how to avoid drama, don't get squirrels involved. Two rednecks, but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks, but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs.